What's up racers, M&H Racing here. Today we're racing our first heat in the Hot Wheels one-on-one championships. The fastest car in this heat will become our first tournament champ, and he'll challenge next heat's winner in a future video. On the west side of the bracket, we have some fantasy cars with the exception of one. And on the east side, we have some great looking realistic cars. Previously, I made a video for crew chief signups and all spots filled in an extraordinary 30 minutes. Crew chiefs' names will be featured at the start of each race. If you commented after that time period, your name will still be in the video if your car wins the whole thing. Don't worry if you're not a chief, I will give many more opportunities in the near future. Anyways, let's end the pregame show and get some races going. Our first match on the west side is the Bone Speeder versus the Great Gatspeed. Our first two cars are on the track and ready to race. Who's gonna take it? Marks, get set, go! Bone Speeder with the early lead, but the Great Gatspeed takes it back and finishes the race in first. And with that win, the Great Gatspeed is your first car from the west side. Moving on to the next round. Our first matchup from the east side of the bracket is the 70 Plymouth AAR CUDA versus the 2015 Dodge Charger SRT. We've got our second duo on the track. Let's see which one takes the next spot. Marks, get set, go! Plymouth with the early lead, but the Dodge Charger takes it back. The Dodge Charger takes the win, moving on to the next round. In race number 2 on the west side, we've got the Tigre versus the Monta Racer. Silver and gold duke it out. Let's find out which car will challenge the Great Gatspeed. On your marks, get set, go! Monta Racer takes the early lead, absolutely dominates the race, and will be moving on to the next round. Gold has beaten silver in that race. The Monta Racer now challenges the Great Gatspeed in round number 2. Match number 2 on the east side gives us the 2010 Aston Martin DBS versus the 1990 Acura NSX. Who's gonna take on the Dodge Charger? It's gonna be either the Acura or the Aston Martin. Let's see who wins it. On your marks, get set, go! Aston Martin, oh, it's neck and neck all the way to the finish. I think the Aston Martin took that win, but we'll have to review the replay. After reviewing the replay, the Aston Martin was able to get ahead of the Acura just moments before the finish line. Therefore, we're going to see the Aston Martin in round 2 of the tournament. In our third match on the west side of the bracket, we have the two-timer versus the Side Ripper. Our next two cars are now ready to go. Who's going to win it? On your marks, get set, go! Side Ripper gets the slight lead. Two-timer catches up in the end. We'll have to review the replay to see who is the true winner. After review of the play, the Side Ripper was just a hair in front of the two-timer. So we're going to see the Side Ripper in the second round of the tournament. In race number 3 on the east side, we have the 69 Dodge Coronet Super Bee versus the 72 Ford Gran Torino Sport. We've got Ford and Dodge battling it out. Let's see who takes it. Marks, get set, go! Ford takes the lead right from the start, absolutely dominating the race. The Ford Gran Torino Sport takes the win, moving on to round 2 of the tournament. In our final match on the west side of the bracket, we have the Porsche 356A Outlaw versus the Stacatto. We've got our next 2 cars up and running. Let's find out who will be challenging the Side Ripper in round 2. On your marks, get set, go! Porsche takes the early lead from the start. Stacatto absolutely destroys them in the second half of the track. And the Stacatto takes the win and will be challenging the Side Ripper in round number 2. In our final race of the first round, we've got a blast to the past. We have the 1952 HUDSON Hornet and the 1941 Willys. Here we go. 2 great looking cars now take on the track. Who's going to be taking that last ticket to the quarterfinals? On your marks, get set, go! And the 1941 Willys almost spins out, but he still keeps the lead. Alright, all the round 1 results have been decided. Now it all comes down to these 8 cars. Let's get racing and see who makes it to the semifinals. In our first matchup of round 2, we have the Great Gatspeed versus the Monta Racer. We've got our next matchup up and running. Who's gonna win it? Marks, get set, go! Monta Racer with the early lead. And the Great Gatspeed just takes it back at the last minute. It was a tight race, but the Great Gatspeed takes the win, moving on to the semifinals. On the east side of the bracket, we've got the 2015 Dodge Charger SRT versus the 2010 Aston Martin DBS. Alright, we got some great looking realistic cars now up on the track. Who's gonna take it? Marks, get set, go! Neck and neck from the beginning, but the Dodge Charger pulls away with the win. The Dodge Charger takes the win, and he'll be moving on to the semis. Our second round 2 match on the west side gives us the Side Ripper and the Stacatto. Here we go. The next challenge for one of these cars is the Great Gatspeed. Let's see which one has the courage to take him on. Marks, get set, go! And the Side Ripper gets the early lead, but the Stacatto takes it back in the halfway portion. The Stacatto beats out the Side Ripper, placing him in the semi-final spot. The thrilling conclusion to round 2 will give us the 72 Ford Gran Torino Sport versus the 1941 Willys. 2 retro cars now duke it out. Who's gonna take that final ticket to the semi-finals? Marks, get set, go! And the Ford absolutely dominates the race from start to finish. We are now down to the semifinals. The winners of these two matches will now have a shot at becoming our first top speed champ. But the fight isn't over for the cars that lose. We'll be having a match for third place. If you watched the video up to this point, post a comment saying I love Hot Wheels. Anyways, let's get the semifinals started. In our first match of the semis, we've got the Stacatto versus the Great Gatspeed. Our first semifinalists are now on the track. Let's see who wins it. Marks, get set, go! Great Gatspeed takes the lead from the start and pulls away with the win. The Great Gatspeed wins our first semifinal match, placing him a spot in the finals. In our second and final matchup of the semis, we've got the 2015 Dodge Charger SRT versus the 72 Ford Gran Torino Sport. Who's gonna challenge the Great Gatspeed? It's gonna be either Dodge or Ford. Who's gonna win it? On your marks, get set, go! Dodge with the early lead. Ford was on his tail, but we're gonna see Dodge in the finals. Our finals are now decided, but first, we're going to see our losers duke it out for third place. We've got the Stacatto versus the 72 Ford Gran Torino Sport. Our third place matchup is now underway. Who's gonna take it? Marks, get set, go! Neck and neck from the start, but the Ford walks away with third place. We now know who takes third place, but we don't know who becomes our top speed champ. Will it be either the Great Gatspeed or the 2015 Dodge Charger SRT? Let's put these two on the track so we can answer that question. It all comes down to these two cars. We'll be doing a best of three. The Dodge is in lane 1 and the Great Gatspeed is in lane 2. Who's gonna take race number 1? On your marks, get set, go! Great Gatspeed takes the early lead and will be taking home the first win of the finals. We switch lanes. The Dodge needs one more win to stay in the competition. If the Great Gatsby wins, it's all over. Let's find out who wins the second race. Marks, get set, go! Dodge Charger with the early lead, but the Great Gatsby walks away with the first top speed champ. There you have it, guys. All of our competitors did their best, but there can only be one winner, and it's the Great Gatspeed, who is now our top speed champ. Can he keep his title after the second heat? Let's find out. His next challenge is the winner of the next tournament. Anyways, if you guys enjoyed this video, be sure to leave a like. This video was certainly a lot of fun to make. And if you'd like to see more Hot Wheels and marble races, be sure to hit that subscribe button and hit the bell as well, so you can have first access to my videos. We'll see you guys next time on M&H Racing.